Welcome into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. I aged several more years during that game. Did you feel the same way?
Oh, well, I don't have that many years left to age, so no, I'm trying to keep calm.
Yeah, you got to. Oh, yeah, I can tell, especially when it comes to the referees, everybody. You're very calm, very chill.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're up 24-3 midway through the third quarter. You end up having to go to overtime. I know that's not the game plan that you were hoping for there, but big picture now, stepping back, what are the things that stand out to you most about that game?
Yeah, our inefficiency in the second half offensively to convert third downs and move the chain. We had unbelievable field position. We go out and special teams stop the fake punt and got a chance to put it away. And we don't do anything offensively for quarter and a half. And then they got rolling. And when you get a good team going, that's momentum. And fortunately, we got it to overtime.
Yeah, and I mean, for you guys, this is your first overtime with Brady now. So tell me how some of the philosophies for you guys are with overtime, the current rules, and whether or not you win the coin toss. What are some of the plans that you guys as coaches have when it comes to overtime?
Oh, you always take the ball and you always think touchdown, end it, And that was what's really good. The way the fourth quarter was going for our defense to go out there and get that 3 and out. And then they hit a great punt, but we put a great drive together. But it's you want the ball, you want touchdown, game over.
Be done with it, yeah. Head home. So I know having to go from your own 6, not typically the way you would want an overtime drive to have to go. But I mean, you're needing 60 yards just to get to field goal territory. That's the beauty of the 3 and out, is thinking, we just need a field goal. Well, now you're almost needing a full normal drive just to get that. It's the longest overtime drive by yardage in the league in at least 20 years. So what was the thought process when you realized you're going from your own 6, and what did that mean to know that you guys were still able to finish it off on a drive like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's field goal wins the game. And for us, we had to get to the 34-yard line to feel good about it. And so it was just put some first downs together. Right now we've been struggling anyway, so let's put some first downs together. We make the short one, and we get a couple, I thought, really good calls. But it was let's make first downs.
And how about, we got to talk about the Perriman touchdown. I mean, I want to hear your perspective out there on the field, the play that gets called as you watch it happen. What all is going through your mind?
Yeah, you're looking for man-to-man coverage, and we're running 2 mesh routes with a guy over the top, and BP was actually meshing for Mike, and they double jump Mike, and he comes out the backside, and Tom just happens to see it in the corner of his eye, and great ball to extend him, and he just hit the gas, and it was over because we got matched up on linebacker.
Yeah, and I mean, for him, what does this mean to a guy like Perriman, and maybe even talk about just the group of guys that you guys have brought in mid-season, last year, this year, just what it speaks of the personnel department, what it means for Brashad, and what it means to you guys to be able to find guys like him?
Yeah, it's kind of easy when you're bringing a known commodity to you, and he had such a great finishing of the season 3 years ago. He was our number 1 receiver, and he got paid, and God bless him, and so when we got him back, it was like, we know what he can do. And that's the type of thing. It doesn't always have to be down the field. Speed can show up going across the field too.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear how you kind of decide the way you're wanting to use him, Tyler Johnson. I know Scotty Miller was inactive. Just the 3 of those guys, what kind of goes into looking at was it the matchup with the Bills? Was it what you guys were wanting to do of why you chose to use each of them the way you did?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler's earned his right to keep playing, but Brashard brings an explosiveness like Scotty in a bigger package. And, and Scotty, we know what he can do. And so it's just a matter of being able to block. Both those guys are blockers in the run game, and that's the position they play. So it pans out that way. Yeah,
and a guy that we know you praise for that highly all the time, Chris Godwin. And I mean, after a game with 15 catches, thought maybe you'd give him a little bit of a breather. And then he just comes out firing again, ends up with 10 catches this time, 105 yards. And now he's over 1,000 yards receiving on the season. He's one of only 6 players in franchise history to do that. So now he's a guy that he's got the volume in yards and catches. Why do you think he's the guy that ends up with being the volume guy so often?
Because they're still doubling outside. We get still too much 2-shell, quarter shell. And Chris is just wearing it out in the middle of the field, and a lot of them are tough, grimy catches, and that's what it takes to play in there.
Yeah, and what did you think of his game overall? What were some of the biggest things that stood out to you?
They dominated in the running game. I mean, just blocked like crazy on the long runs, but just consistency, big plays.
And how about Fournette? And again, talk about consistency. This guy now, 113 yards. It's his high for the season and as a Buccaneer. His second 100-yard game of the year. What impressed you the most about him?
I thought he was, again, very consistent. And whether it was there or not, he got positive yards. And that long run was blocked so well. All you had to do was make one guy miss. And, there was some tremendous blocking on that play. And Lenny just took it to the house. But he's been a consistent pass receiver also.
Yeah, and tell us about that touchdown run in particular. I know that I do want to hear especially more about the O-line's role in all of it, but take us through that touchdown run, the 48-yarder.
Yeah, we don't pull a lot of people a lot of times, but this was a play where Gronk got a great block on the edge, and it was old Green Bay sweep, basically. And just Donnie came around the corner, everybody came around the corner, just lit guys up, and Lenny just hit the gas.
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely a play that got Donovan some of the recognition for the things that he can do. What is it about Donovan that makes you feel like you can trust him with plays like that? And how many linemen could make a play like that of what he did?
Very few are as athletic as our tackles. And we pull our tackles a lot because they are so athletic. And, a lot of times they're bigger, taller guys, not as fluid running. But Donnie's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah, and what did you think of their performance overall in the game, both from pass game and run game?
I thought both tackles played very, very, very well.
And then how about the rest of the offensive line?
Really good. I don't give game balls out to the O-line very often, but they got one this week. Great protection and really great job in the running game.
And Mike Evans, 91 yards and a touchdown. Tell us some of the things that stood out to you about his game.
He is, again, Mike inside, outside, and just continue to develop him in different spots so that everybody not always where he's at. But again, Mike played fast all night.
Yeah, and that touchdown catch he made, where does that rank in terms of just impressive catches of the year?
Yeah, that's another one that there was a pirate ship catch on the other side of that end zone that I remember way back when, but that was a great throw and a great catch.
Yeah, that really was incredible. And I know coming into the game, every catch he had made on third down went for a first down, and then he got several more third down conversions in this game. Talk about what he means to the offense specifically on third down and why you think he's so efficient with that.
Yeah, this was his game on third down. Last week it was Chris's kind of, and Tom just does a great job of spreading it out, and Mike was the guy that was open most of the time.
And overall, what do you take away from, you talked about how the offense, first half to second half, the shift and how they stalled out there in the third quarter, but to know that in the first half you guys put up more yards on Buffalo than they had been allowing in entire games. What do those two things kind of mean to you in terms of what it says about your offense?
That we're still lacking a little consistency because the plays in the second half were still there to make, and we just didn't make them, whether we're off our fingertips or we just didn't make the plays that we made in the first half, and they really didn't change. So it's just us stopping us, and hopefully that's easily correctable.
Yes, you can get out of your own way, and then it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the field. All right, well, we still have more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And red zone offense, I know there were a few times you guys had to settle for field goals, but definitely some others that were some pretty conversions. Overall, how did you feel about that part of your game?
Yeah, anytime we have goal to go, we're one of the top teams in the league. I just gripes me we don't get a touchdown. And we had that scenario one time, and they did a good job. But we had some plays, and we didn't run the ball well enough down there this time. And we ran it well 20-20, but down there we didn't run it well enough.
Okay, and looking at Tom Brady's game, he is now the NFL's all-time completions leader, passing Drew Brees, and also threw his 700th touchdown. That last one to Brashad, not only did it win the game, but it got him 700, and no one else has done that. I know that basically every week we talk about new records that he's breaking. Do you feel like you're running out of superlatives to be able to describe what he's done?
Yeah, just there's not going to be records left, and he'll be just breaking his own.
He's just being greedy at this point. He's just hoarding all of them.
Get them all, and get all those touchdowns to Gronk. I'm glad to see that one too.
Yeah, rooting for that for sure. And what did you think of his game overall?
I thought it was spectacular in the first half, and not his normal game in the second half until overtime, and he was great like always.
And then how about the couple plays in the first quarter where he was basically auditioning for RB1?
Yeah, we had a little talk about that. So that's enough. We're not taking on any more linebackers, all right?
This is the thing. He's getting all these records for all of his passing. Now he decides he wants to go for the running back ones. Is that what's happening here?
And I think he broke his all-time record in that game with about 16 yards.
That's true. It's easy to break. He's realizing these are the more attainable records to go after. I know that unfortunately Gio Bernard went down with an injury. Do we have any updates on his condition at this point?
No, it's a hip injury, and the severity of it we're not sure yet.
Okay. And I know you had, speed of injury, Jalen Darden back as your return guy. So how nice was it to have him back there? And what did you think of his first game?
Yeah, I thought he sparked. He got a couple really good returns, and it's a shame the kickoff return got called back, but it was a good call. No, we didn't block properly, and but it was good to see him back. Yep.
I feel like we should cut out that part of you saying that it was a good call, send it to the refs, say that it does happen occasionally, that you do give them credit when they deserve it.
Not very often.
That's why I was like, we got to put this in memorial here. And then I know also on punt coverage we had a big hit by Grant Stewart. He had another one last week. I just wanted to hear what you've thought about our Mr. Irrelevant now and what he's been doing out there on special teams.
He's been playing just like we thought when we drafted him, and hair's on fire all the time and flying around, and just who he is. And he and KJ Britt are just doing a hell of a job for two rookies.
Did I hint a little bit of jealousy about the hair? Is there
a lot of jealousy.
A lot of jealousy. All right, we still have more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. We talked a little bit about this earlier in the show, but the importance of the defense getting that 3 and out in overtime, and I think even forgetting the fact that they had just been on the field for a 14-play drive, and we're already in December, and just the energy that it would have required to be able to head right back out there. How impressive was that stand, and what do you think led to them being able to do that?
Yeah, I think a lot of determination and grit. You know, when they left the sideline, I felt pretty good about it. And, get 3 and out, that wins the ball game. You know, offensively, yeah, we scored, but that 3 and out stop, that wins the ball game.
Mm-hmm. And Devin White, 10 tackles, sack and a half for him. What did you think of his game?
Devin was back. I mean, he's over the injury and played through it, and but he's back. He's full speed.
That's got to be music to your ears.
Totally.
Yeah. And then Shaq, same thing, sack and a half for him. He's getting very close to that double-digit number already. What did you think of his performance and just the overall, what he's been able to do this year in terms of getting the sacks?
Yeah, Shaq's been after it all year, and they're starting to get home more and often, especially with that pressure we're getting up inside.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do you think is the difference? There were so many games, especially earlier in the year, where I remember you talking about how they were getting pressured, but they weren't actually getting to him or getting him down. And I think even now you see guys like Josh Allen and all these teams knowing to get rid of it quickly against you guys. So the fact they're getting home more, even with teams seeming to try to get rid of it faster, what do you think is because of that?
I think better coverage. They go hand in hand. If it's just a split second that you've got your guy covered up and he has to look, the pressure is going to get there. But we had 20 unblocked blitzers that didn't get there in this game. It was crazy. We kept jumping up in the air and letting him out of the pocket, but Todd had hit a great blitz plan, and we got to finish those things.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of, you talked about him getting out of the pocket. I mean, Josh Allen, we know his rushing ability, and he basically put up the stat line of a pretty dang good running back in that game. It was his 3rd time of his career for getting a 100-yard rushing game. What was the challenge of a guy like him, and overall, how did you guys think you handled, knowing that there are now so many mobile QBs in this league that you're going to have to face? Yeah,
there are very, very few like him. I mean, that run inside power plays. There are a lot of quarterbacks that run around the edges and they're fast, but he's a unique bird. I mean, I hope he doesn't get broke up in that offense, but he is unique because he's got the fantastic arm, and you're in passing formations. All of a sudden, there's a power run, and it's the quarterback with a running back leading him. So it's really, really tough to defend.
Yeah, and those 2 touchdown drives that he was able to lead in the 4th quarter, what did you see as the major things that led to that and on defensively for us?
Yeah, letting him get out of the pocket and make plays with his legs, and they hit us with a run. We're playing way too much pass defense, obviously, but they snuck a run on us. But mostly it was Josh.
And I know that last week we had talked about how there were definitely some missed tackles you weren't happy with, and just there had been a few games lately where that had been your thought. I did see there were a few just very impressive open field tackles. I can think of especially one by Levante, one by Antoine, and just want to hear overall your idea of how the tackling was in the game.
I think overall it was better. We still missed a couple on Josh Allen, but I thought overall it was better, especially in open field.
And at one point in the 3rd quarter, you guys had held them to 0 of 7 on 3rd down. Now I know that changed a little bit towards the end of the game. But what was working so well for you guys, particularly in getting off the field?
Getting really good pressure. Really good pressure. And again, it was the back end, front end combination. Tighter coverage, pressure, and getting him on the ground.
Yeah, and speaking of that back end, Andrew Adams having to fill in and had a few batted down balls, and one of his blitzes seemed to be what led to Shaq's sack. I wanted to hear what you thought of his performance. Again, another guy like Brashad that has not been here the entire time, but been asked to step up in some big ways.
Yeah, AA, man. He's very dependable, and that's why he's here. He's very, very good vocal leader. And he backs it up on the field.
And another guy that, same thing, we had to ask some different things of, Richard Sherman. He's just, I think about how he went from being on the street to on the team to hurt to a coach to now a safety at times. So tell me about the ways that you guys decided to use him and what it meant to have him actually back in action as a player this time.
It was good because he actually was playing safety, but we played some man-to-man with him also as a safety on the tight end. But he had an interception as a safety. And, when you have very, very smart players, it's just learning different angles. For him, it's different angles on how he's playing it from outside.
Yeah, and he already had the active streak for interceptions of the most in the league. He's now had 37 since entering the league in 2011. So in particular, what is he so good at career-wise, and even now that you see, he comes in first game back and gets one, why have interceptions come to him?
Well, he really can catch. He was a wide receiver in college, so that he has excellent hands. And when DBs have ball skills, they're gonna have a chance to get interceptions. It's the guys that don't have ball skills that just bat them down all the time.
That's true.
He has great ball skills.
Yeah, that's great. And then I know that Jamel Dean left with an illness. And what did you guys think about how you chose to use all these guys? You've gotten very good at having to rotate people around over the course of this year. So what were some of the decisions that had to get made about how you used different people in the secondary?
Yeah, and when you lose a guy, you sometimes can lose some packages because you have packages for certain people in certain places, and maybe the backups didn't get enough reps at those things, so you just throw those out. But that's kind of every game now, but when those three guys are out there right now, I feel really, really comfortable because when those three are out there, we're getting sacks.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, we have one more segment coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show, so don't go anywhere. It's our final segment here on the Bruce Arians Show, and now you guys 10-3 franchise history here, basically the best record to start the season, and you now have a chance to clinch the division at home with still 3 more games after that. What does that mean to you to hear for what this team has accomplished and with so many injuries and what you guys have had to go through this year?
Yeah, it'll be a big game. The Saints is always a big game, and no matter who's hurt, who's not, it'll be a knockdown, drag out, and it's a hat and T-shirt game. That's your big reward for this one, and they're a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, those are a lot of fun. And so tell me about the difference in prepping for the Saints this time around. You talked about the idea that, of course, with injuries, that's typically how it goes, that when you got these 2 division games, it ends up not being a copy-paste kind of a game plan because it's never the same people. So what's the difference this time?
It's totally different with Taysom Hill, and it'll be a whole lot. Taysom Hill is a lot like Josh Allen in that he is a big physical runner. And he'll pull it down and hurt you, and he can throw it even with the splint on his finger. But he to me he presents a whole different game plan.
Yeah, and how about on the defensive side of things for them? What are the things that you've learned from that first matchup that'll still apply, and what's different?
A lot of same. Their defense doesn't change much. They're really great players, DeMario Davis and how everybody over there, Lattimore. But great pass rush with Davenport and everybody else over there. So it's a big challenge. Their defense is always a big challenge.
It is crazy to feel like in some ways we are so far into the season because we're talking about the chance to clinch the division and it's December football. But then now, especially with 17 game season, there's still 4 games left, so a typical kind of quarter of a season. So looking at that, what do you think would be the biggest goals for each side of the ball in the last quarter of the regular season for you?
I think just continue to improve and stay healthy. And for us, it's if we can put all our best players out there right now, which we have a chance to, Jordan should be getting close to coming back, and we'll see after that what happens. But I just want to see us continually to improve.
Do you think all these injuries will actually end up sort of benefiting you guys in terms of, for the long run, of the way it's developed depth, the way that it's taught you guys how to win even in the not ideal circumstances?
Oh, there's any doubt. It's been rough, but it's also been a godsend.
All right. Well, good luck this next week, Coach. Thanks as always for joining us.
Appreciate it.
All right. And thanks to all of you guys. We'll be back here next week with another Bruce Arians Show.